Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether you've woken up. Students, that's for you. And then later on, I'll be doing a live stream as I travel. Then in the evening, of course, I'll be going back to analyzing the stories of Nyabohanse. Thank you so much for supporting me and always being there during my live streams and watching my videos. I really encourage you to do that so that we get our target hours that we've been waiting for. We're almost there. If you keep watching, our hours will be moving every day. Unfortunately, YouTube counts a year. So if a day goes down and there are some minutes that were hanging on day 366, it goes away. So I'm just encouraging you to stand with me so that I'll achieve my objective. Of late, I've not been doing a lot of educational videos because I was capitalizing on what I was doing and the different location to do more of the live streams and videos to do with where I am. Now, I'm going to do 3 excerpts today. Remember, as a candidate, the more you explore different excerpts, the more you become familiar with how you are supposed to respond, guys. Now, it's just about familiarizing with the text. If you internalize the text, you know every part, every chapter, and what happens, you will score high. The other thing that is that when you are responding to questions, make sure that you are very sober, and especially themes, characters, and styles. Do not go for a style or a theme or character trait you cannot illustrate. Pick a style that you can immediately give its illustration, right? So I hope you've got that. Thank you so much. Continue subscribing to the channel. There are so many people who watch my channel, but they have not subscribed. So do a favor, just spare some minute and subscribe to the channel. That is another algorithm analysis that YouTube looks at. So do not just watch as a passenger, watch as part of us, Watch as part of us who are in the journey at the front seat. So let's start with the first excerpt. I've already done some earlier. If you check in my channel, you can see some of them there. So let's go through this. I think we have already done this excerpt on the skit. So let's go to the first excerpt, and I'll be reading it. The excerpt starts as this. Nicole is the one speaking, right? Looking apprehensive. So, to whom do I owe the honor of receiving you here? Remember, that is Act 4. I hope you remember Act 4, the last scene. Now, Jaden clears his throat and says, "All is well, Nicole. On behalf of my colleagues, I beg your pardon for our intrusion into your busy schedule." Bembe speaks. He says, "Before your lordship can go any further, I would like to apologize to Nicole for the misunderstanding that led to her arrest and arraignment in court. I have thought the whole incident, and I have realized the mistake was mine. I am very sorry." Mosi speaks. "My apologies too, Nicole. Sometimes I tread on people's toes in cause of my duty, but it's never personal." Nicole speaks, looking somewhat puzzled. "There was never anything personal in the matter of the Samaritan. It was just a school project by 2 of our students." Then, according to the italics, the party looks at one another. "Nonetheless, I accept your apologies, and I also apologize if I offended any of you." Ted says, "I have seen you several times, but I'm afraid I'm not well acquainted with you. I am pleased to offer you this present." Ted walks, and do you know what he hands over to Nicole? A golden ring. Nicole, in the italics or the probes, declines the offer politely. And she says, "Oh, thank you, but I don't wear them. My apologies." There is a brief awkward moment. Justice Jaden clears his throat, then removes the eyeglasses and fiddles with them in his hands. Then he speaks. So Jaden speaks. "Nicole, we had a very long discussion as the top leadership of the municipality touching on the Samaritan." He pauses, then he puts on his glasses, then resumes. "After due deliberations, we agreed to consult you about the possible changes we need to effect the security of our good future for the municipality." Basdale speaks. "If I put it differently, Nicole, in the wake of the Samaritan, it has become clear that we must introduce fundamental changes in the way our municipality is administered. We recognize the truth that serious mistakes have been made in leadership, and matters have now come to our head. We realize that this ship, that our municipality, will sink unless we engineer the desired change." Moses responds and says, "Things are not that bad, of course, but we will appreciate your contribution in enhancing service to the people." Nicole boldly speaks. "Yes, I agree. There is an urgent need for drastic change." Jaden then speaks. "Our question is the role you would prefer to play in a new order." Nicole says, "Actually, I am willing to play a prominent role. I owe Maracas municipality and our county as a whole a civic duty. I am ready to work with patriotic citizens to enhance transparency and accountability in the management of public affairs." Justice Jaden and company exchange glances. They all stand up in relief and cheerfully move to shake Nicole's hand. Nicole also stands up, though she is quite puzzled. Now I want to show you the excerpt so that you can go to the text and look at that. As I told you, it is in Act 4 of the Samaritan, scene, the last scene. So let me show you this. This is one of the excerpts I think you must go through as a student. So look at that. I hope you can see the entire excerpt right there. I'm giving you time to just look at it. I'm giving you time to look at it, guys. Regan. So that is it there, Nicole. So I'm giving you time to look at that excerpt and go to the text as a student or maybe a teacher who is interested in such excerpts and try to explore. I have so many excerpts, almost 100. Almost 100, guys. Consider liking the video. Like the video, guys. Like the video, give the thumbs up, and I really appreciate. Do remember to like the video. Subscribe to the channel also if you've not subscribed, and let's move ahead. All right. So now let's go to the questions. The first question is, what had Nicole and Nareen discussed before the visitors came? right? What had Nicole and Nareen discussed before the visitors came? Shh, 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 shh. Thank you for the like. I can see one person has liked the video. God bless you. So, our first question is bearing 4 marks. So, if you are answering this question, what would you consider? The question is, what had Nicole and Nareen discussed before the visitors came? What does this mean? If you have the text, this would force you to go back to the conversation, maybe a half a page above the excerpt. But if you don't have the text, okay, Nairobi teacher, thank you so much. Today I've decided to do an educational video here. Thank you. Welcome to the house. So, of course, you'll have to go a bit of half a page above the text and check for details. Now, if you check in the Samaritan, what are the details that are applicable to the question? The first is, Nareen tells Nicole that the bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists, right? And that is one of the proverbs you cannot forget from the text. She should turn the sail if she cannot turn the wind. If you don't remember the proverbs, you can actually say that Nareen encourages Nicole to stay away from pursuing the Samaritan up, and reminds her that it's important not to fight the leaders. The second illustration, or rather what they discussed, is Nicole asks her whether they should subdue to slavery and let the leaders plunder with the public resources without being challenged. If you don't remember the specific words, just recall something to do with Nicole challenging Nareen with the fact that she's not going to give in to what the leaders are doing, the poor governance, the abuse of resources, abuse of office, misuse of resources, right? And she says that even though historically that has been happening, she's not going to stand it anymore. Nareen rebukes Nicole, telling her that she cannot be hard-headed because it is important she focuses on teaching than on political situations. Nareen says that she is in charge of students, and therefore, if Nicole goes on fighting the leaders, she's going to show her the toughest time of her life. If you can recall specific words, then you talk about, she promises to grab Nicole by her pants and hound her out of the vicinity if she does not listen. I hope you got the 4 aspects. The first is that Nareen tells Nicole that the bamboo which bends is stronger than the oak that resists. She should turn the sail if she cannot turn the wind. And I've said you can use other words to express the same. The second thing is that Nicole asks Nareen whether she prefers that they live by slavery and let the plunder of public resources continue unchallenged. Nareen rebukes Nicole not to give her a headache and discuss the preferences with the leaders. Nareen also tells Nicole that she's in charge of the students and therefore she will grab her by her pants. Reminder here, all right? She will grab her by her pants and hound her out of the vicinity if she does not listen. Now let's go to the second question, guys. The second question. Regan, please. No noise, right? Yeah. Okay, question 2. What arrest is Bembe referring to? And why is he apologizing? That is 3 marks, right? So let's check on how you will address this question. Now, for this question to be answered properly by you as a student, you need to have internalized the Samaritan. You need to have known that at some point in the text, Bembe arrested Nicole. Therefore, this question is seeking that you get the answer from elsewhere, not within the excerpt, right? Yep. So now let me help you to understand what you will give. The first aspect is you say that Bembe arrested Nicole on false claim that she stole the school generator and she was also in a scene of murder. Are you getting that? We have mentioned two things. The stealing, the false allegation against Nicole for stealing a school generator and being at a scene of murder, right? Those are 2 marks. Now you get the 3rd mark by giving the following. He had really roughed her up, but she won the case against them. I hope you've got it. For you to score the 3 marks, you must show the 2 false allegations and you must show us the consequence of the arrest. Thank you. I can see Chinese here. Chinese. I can't even read the words. I did some Japanese a little bit. Hello. Hello. Morning. Somebody in Chinese there. Or no, it's Arabic. This is not Chinese. This is Arabic. Chinese is a little bit. Kanji is written differently. Thank you for coming here. Welcome on board. You can learn with us even if you don't take the book, The Samaritan. Because sometimes I do reactions, sometimes I do educational videos, and it is what it is. So thank you so much. All right, so the 3rd question. Explore 2 issues the author has exposed in this excerpt. Now you remember me warning you that if you pick a theme, be very sure that you have the specific illustrations you can use, right? So let's get to the excerpt. Did you get some aspect that was outstanding, dominating in the excerpt? If you're able to recall anything that is standing out, then you can tell us. Now, for example, if you heard something about Bembe seeking to be forgiven, just like the rest of the leaders did, what comes to your mind? That is the theme of reconciliation, right? Theme of reconciliation. Did you hear about the Samaritan app? That one tells you that it's the theme of technology. The theme of technology. Did you also hear something to do with Nicole owes municipality a lot and is ready to work as a patriotic citizen? That one gives us the theme of patriotism. We also have the theme of violence. How? We've heard clearly Bembe saying that sometimes he treads on people's toes. Now, I hope you now understand how we normally get the thematic concerns, or it can be called issues, or what else? They can use thematic concern, themes, issues, such words, right? Okay. Yeah, Nairobi teacher. The Samaritan is the current high school book that Form 4s are handling in KCSE. And in fact, they are testing excerpt for paper 2 in the current KCSE exam. And it's a political book talking about the politics surrounding us, and it reflects around the current generation. You look around, you see somebody who represents Ruto, another one who represents Raila, another one who represents Murkomen. Bembe is like Murkomen. You look at Mosi, he's just exactly like Ruto. You look at Ted, he represents Raila. You look at Bembe, he represents maybe Sifuna or whether it is Joho. And you look at, you look at people like, there was this uneducated guy, almost like Farouk and Sudi. So you have all those represented in the text. Now, Nicole is like just a common teacher in a school. Let's say like the teacher who was at Butere Munias, the one who actually was doing the representation of the play Echoes of War. And we have students, just like the Butere girl students, who are doing some creativity, though the innovation in this book is different, called a Samaritan, to reveal the ills of the leaders. No wonder they have to fight that Samaritan up, guys. So I've at least given some overview about it. So if you get time, Nairobi teacher, read that book. It has very good politics. You can use it in the, the critical analysis of the Kenyan politics. That is why in parliament you saw somebody mentioning and saying, was it Sergei mentioning that the books currently being done by students are political, but then it's a reflection of the society. They read what's happening in the surrounding. All right, so let's proceed to the styles. The next question is identify and explain any two styles emergent in the excerpt. Again, students, as I told you, if you're going to explain styles in a book within KCSE exam, make sure the style you pick has an example that you can illustrate clearly. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. I really appreciate, because sometimes this live stream, you try them to fill the watch hours. I'm struggling with watch hours. And of course, you can do that just by having people watching what you're doing. Their presence means a word. All right. So identify and explain the two stylistic devices in the excerpt. For paper 2, you are free to give as many styles as possible, because when marking, the examiners pick what is right. So don't limit yourself by writing exactly 2. Then you realize that your answers maybe were wrong. However, if you are a good student who has explored the stylistic devices in a text, and I always tell students that you can, when you are revising your text currently, try to underline on each page the styles you can see, because excerpts are lifted from a page within an act, So like here, if I look at the excerpt, the styles I saw, the first one is ellipsis. I think you know very well, ellipsis is when one speaks and leaves a statement hanging, incomplete. Maybe because they were interrupted, or they were, they had a deficit of words to fill their conversation, or something like that. So there is ellipsis, and the specific illustration is my apologies. Then we can see those 3 dots, but we can see again the 3 dots or the 3 full stops, which stand for ellipsis. There is an idiom in that excerpt. The specific idiom is tread on people's toes. Then there is onomatopoeia, which is fiddling. All right. Let's move to the next question, then I'll turn the camera. You see the specific answers before we proceed, right? Thank you. Nairobi teacher, I just have maybe 1 hour. 1 hour for 3 excerpts will be okay. Because the first one I'm taking it slow, but the next one I'll talk it. Nairobi teacher is asking, how many hours do you have at the moment? I have 2,286. No, 3,286. So I'm lacking about 714 hours. Can you imagine? So I have 3,286 hours by yesterday. And therefore I need 714 hours. That is a lot of hours. I don't know the miracle that will serve me, but I'm just trying. I'm just battling. That is why these days I just do live streams, because when you do videos sometimes, and the people who watch you don't continue checking through the videos, you don't move that much. Yeah, so thank you for asking, but I have a lot of work to do. That is why every day I'm trying to do like 3 live streams, sometimes 2 live streams, to cover up for the hours that are missing. Because I actually had the channel going through a lot of problems. At first, I had done some videos that I didn't do a lot of talk. In fact, they were political ones. During the time Ruto was swearing in Kindiki. And also there was a time also I did some on Ogobina. I could just do a video by showing what they are doing instead of talking in it. I didn't know that time. So even though those times my hours were okay, but by the time they approved my channel recently, which is this month, last month, I realized that now my watch hours were less. So they approved my channel around 20th of July. That is when they approved my channel. Because all along they had been saying reused content, reused content, reused content. I did delete a lot of my videos, and some of them, they actually led to my loss of watch hours. So guys, continue watching my videos, support me, so that I can actually now realize the monetization aspect, because they have approved the channel, but then I have to push watch hours so that I can even earn from advertisements and other ways. Because currently I'm not even able to enhance the advertisements, and then I've not yet decided what to do with the membership packs, and I'm not also having members yet, but we'll see what to do. And from you people who have been in the journey for long, maybe I'll get the right advice every time to see where I can get to. So the fifth question, what serious mistakes does Basdeo refer to here? You remember in the excerpt, Basdeo talked about mistakes, right? Okay, so the 3 marks surrounding that question demand that you look for the mistakes the leaders have conducted in the text. Now this one is not limited to the excerpt. The question requires that you go to other areas and seek what Basdeo had done. Now, one of the things that the leaders are accused of is the looting of public funds, stroke misallocation of public funds. So you can either say misallocation of public funds, or you say looting of public funds. The next mistake that the leaders are guilty of is killing of innocent people. Of course, you know that Bembe has been killing innocent people equally like Mosi. We have state capture. State capture or municipal capture has been conducted by Mosi. Grabbing of public land has been conducted by Seimwa. Then we have taking of bribes from the police. That is under Bembe. Bembe, who is representing, I don't know whether it's Ajilagat or whether it is Murkomen. Then we have selling of drugs. Ted has conducted that in the text. Then we have negligence of duties, such as we see Moses saying that it's not his responsibility to ensure that the roads are properly done. Now I'm going to turn the camera so that I can show those questions and answers before we move on. Thank you. All right, so these are the notes on the same. You can see that. I hope you can see the entire page. The entire page there. Okay, I hope you've seen up to question 3. Okay, then we are at question 4. Question 4 there on styles. Question 5. All right, now let's go to question 6. Now, what is question 6 about? Thank you guys. Anybody who comes around, consider to like the video. I really appreciate your presence here, and liking the video is one of the things I'll urge you to do. So, question 6 tells me or asks, our question is the role you would play in a new order. Our question is the role you would prefer to play in the new order. That's a grammar question, right? Normally in an excerpt, we have a grammar question. And grammar is grammar. They always say murder is legal in grammar. You forget a full stop or a question mark, you encounter a cross. So you must be very keen when you are handling a grammar question at any point. Now question 6 is a grammar question. Listen carefully to it. Our question is the role you would prefer to play in the new order. Rewrite the sentence using word rather. So we want the student to use rather, and automatically here you should think of you learned about the correlative conjunctions, right? In Form 3. Now this goes back there. Instead of prefer to, of course, rather replaces prefer to. So that's, of course, this question of rather would be now changing the statement to a question mark, and at the same time you have to replace the part of prefer to rather. Now the answer will be, what role would you rather play? What role would you rather play in a new order? What role would you rather play in the new order? With a question mark. Without a question mark, it is a cross. Question 7. What misinterpretation follows this conversation? Now, when you look at the excerpt, you realize that Nicole equally gets confused, whereas the leaders are trying to think she is into something. This question is 3 marks, so you have to get to explain to us the confusion clearly, right? Now, the misinterpretation is that Mosi shakes Nicole's hand vigorously because he believes she will accept the offer of leadership they are giving her, so that they can silence her on matters the Samaritan. He says there will be change, justice, prioritization of public interest. In reality, Nicole is not in for all this. I hope you've got the 3 parts. The first part is Mosi shakes Nicole's hand because he believes Nicole has accepted the leadership position they are offering her in the municipality, so that they can silence her on matters the Samaritan app. Have you seen the 2 parts in that answer? Now the third part is that he says there will be now change, justice, and prioritization of public interest. But in reality, Nicole is not interested in all that. I hope you've got the 3 parts, right? Now let's get to the last question of that excerpt before we go to the second excerpt and third. And I think that second excerpt will move a bit fast now that you will have internalized. Okay, thank you, Nairobi teacher. In the evening, that's when I'll try to do something on Nyabohanze. I'll also be watching you once I get to, because I'm traveling a bit later. Okay, thank you so much for your presence. I really appreciate. All right. So, meaning of words. Now, when you get to the excerpt, which words did I decide to set here? The first word was intrusion. The second is acquaintance. The third is deliberations. So the first, how do you answer questions to do with meanings of words? Students have a mistake of starting to explain. It is to do this. And automatically once I see that, I don't have even to read. I just cross. The reality about meanings of words is that you better choose synonyms. The second reality is that you have to ensure if the word is a verb, your explanation should fit a verb. If it's a noun, your explanation should fit a noun. If it's an adjective, your explanation should fit an adjective. We know that a verb is not always in verb to be. We have verbs that are just automatically like that. The other thing is that The tense must be correct. If a verb is in past tense, your answer should also fit the same. Now let's look at intrusions. Intrusions, it is a plural noun, so your answer should be also plural nouns. So intrusions are disturbances, interruptions, disruptions, right? Acquainted is conversant, familiar, or accustomed. Deliberations are discussions, negotiations. So let me turn the camera again to show you question 6, question 7, and question 8. I hope you can see that. Okay, now let's turn to another different excerpt. Let's turn to another different excerpt, guys. So the first excerpt was from Act 4. Let's check whether we can get another from maybe another excerpt from Act 3 or Act 2. Okay, there is an excerpt here about the school, the classroom. Should it be Act 3, Scene 1? I hope I'm correct on that. So I'll be reading the excerpt as I show so that we don't waste time here. Because I told you when I go to excerpt 2 and 3, I'll be a bit fast. Because we are left with the 23 minutes. 23 minutes. So here, students. Yes, Mistress Nicole. Now, do you remember I got handouts to read? Yes, Mistress. If you have them, what happened in the ancient Near East in 487 BC? The fall of Jerusalem and the temple after the long siege by Babylonians. Correct. And why were Jerusalem and the temple destroyed? The people disobeyed the laws of the Creator. Yes, that's right. Now, what laws? Do not worship other gods, do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, do not commit adultery, and love your neighbor. How did they disobey the Creator? They began to worship other gods and to kill one another. They became disobedient, engaged in corruption, robbery, sexual perversions, and visited various forms of injustice upon one another, thereby breaking the law of love. Very good. Now, do we find similar acts of disobedience in our society today? Nicole looks around the classification for a raised hand. Yes, there. The fourth student says, people engage in corruption, they commit murder, steal and lie, and also indulge in sexual perversions. Thank you. The teacher points to another student. Yes. The fifth student says, some students wear a talisman, believing it will help them pass exams. Nicole says, yes, and that is idol worship. So, which spirit is prevalent in our society today? Students say the evil spirit, the spirit of the beast. Nicole asks, and we said the work of the beast is to? Students say destroy. So the first question is, what does Nicole say before the excerpt? What does Nicole say before the excerpt? 4 marks. That question is just equal to what happened before the excerpt. That is sometimes how they set it. Or if they ask you, put the excerpt in its immediate context, then they want you to answer that question and also explain what happened later. Now, what are the answers expected here? The first one is that Nicole Nicole says that the good spirit obeys rules and relates to the maker. Those are 2 points, right? Nicole says that the good spirit obeys rules and relates to the maker. The second point is that the spirit that disobeys is evil and is associated to the destroyer, leading to destruction. That is the spirit of the beast. I think you've seen 2 points there again. We have the good spirit that obeys the rules and it's related to the maker. On the other hand, we have the spirit that disobeys and it's evil, associated to the destroyer. That is the spirit of the beast. Question 2. Identify and explain any 2 stylistic devices used in this excerpt. 4 marks. Identify and explain any 2 stylistic devices used in this excerpt. Now remember, I told you can give even 3 or 4 styles, you know. The first style that I saw in this excerpt is metaphor, the spirit of the beast. The second one is biblical allusion, the siege of Babylon. You can also have contrast because we have spirit of the beast and spirit of the good. Question 3. How is Nicole portrayed in this excerpt? Such a question. If you give the right identification and the wrong illustration, 0 marks, because we mark at the end tick 2. So, Nicole is portrayed as 1, charismatic, because she has the interest to have students follow her lesson. Another characteristic of Nicole is that she is appreciative. The fact that she says very good, thank you to the students. That is very appreciative. We can also say that Nicole is observant and keen. She looks around the class, sees those students who have raised their hands and picks them, allows them to respond. The fourth question is, the people disobeyed the laws of the Creator. Add a question tag. Now, I hope you know the rules of question tags. We have those which you have to create a kind of model auxiliary, and then you give the opposite of that. If it's positive, the question tag goes with a negative. If the question has a negative model auxiliary, then we will have a positive question tag. However, there are those whereby we just have will you, like shut the door. That one you cannot say won't you, it's will you. Okay, so this one is the people disobeyed the laws of the Creator. Add a question tag. Now remember that any question that asks you to give a question tag, you start with a comma, then now you write in small letters your question tag, and then end with a question mark. For this question, it is didn't they? Didn't they? All right. Okay. Let's move to question 5. Question 5 is discuss any 2 thematic concerns explored in the excerpt. Discuss any 2 thematic concerns explored in the excerpt, 4 marks. Now we may have more than 2, but the ones that I saw clearly, education, the students are in class and they are learning. The second one is disobedience. People disobeyed the laws of the Creator. We have the third theme is religion. The teacher is using the Bible to teach the students. The fourth theme is idolatry. The fact that students wear talisman at some point. The last question automatically is about meanings of words. Give the meanings of the following words as used in the excerpt. The first word is siege. The second is perversions. The third is indulge. And the fourth is prevalent. Now, as a student, how do you come to familiarize yourself with these words, even before the exam? What you do, as you read your text, try to underline any words that sound unfamiliar to you, and go look for synonyms that suit the context, right? Because some may be synonyms, but they don't fit in this context. So the first word siege means obstruction. The second perversions is distortions or falsifications. Indulge is engage in. Prevalent is predominant or dominant. Now I'm going to show the question and answers to you before we move to the third excerpt. Vimi nyimire nyanja kulia fwana na nino. Nani anafanya nini? Okay, so look at that question 1. The answer is there. Question 2, I've added another style. I think you heard me. Question 3, I added also another style, another character trait. Question 4. Question 5, I also added another theme, if you heard me. And for meanings of words, there we are. All right. Now we can go to the third excerpt. I don't know. We can get it from Act 1. Act 1, Scene 2. No, yeah, Act 1, Scene 2. Act 1, Scene 2. The excerpt that I have here comes from Act 1, Scene 2. I told you that I want to pick from different parts of the text. So let's get this one from here. I'll read it as I show, just to save time, because we have only 13 minutes to time, to 1 hour. Ted, I agree. We must set aside some money to take care of investigators, lawyers, prosecutors, and judges if things go wrong. You see, the waste disposal system in our town is in a terrible state. There is garbage all over the place and the drains are broken. As we speak, it is a serious health hazard. We can justify reallocation of funds on the need to address this problem. In reality, we will use some of the funds to fight off cases that are without doubt coming. Mosi, surprise and dismay. What? Seima, yes, we have to get money to fight the cases. And enough of it, I dare say. Mosi says, but that will only get us deeper into problems. Seima says, yes, it will, but we will be better armed to deal with the trouble and even more of it. Mosi says, over my dead body. What are you suggesting? What you are suggesting is illegal. The law is very clear. A municipal council cannot spend any money at any time of the financial year except as provided in the national estimates and as contained in an appropriation act approved by Parliament. Ted, looking at Mayor Mosi in disbelief. What do you mean? You would rather we are prosecuted and imprisoned? Seima says, in that case, we can submit a supplementary estimate of expenditure. That is allowed under the law. Mosi says, so long as the money will be committed to other uses, I'll be blamed for the misallocation. It will get me into trouble. Seima says, you will be in a position to deal with the trouble. Can't you understand? You will have money. Mosi says, pointing at Seima and Ted, look here, my good friends. You have in past forced my hand into misallocating funds by making unreasonable demands. Seima says, which demands? Mosi responds, you cannot now deny that you have forced me to concede to endless demands ranging from regular travel with enhanced allowances for members of the municipal council, sitting allowances of unnecessary committee meetings, to loans and mortgages. It is as though all the money allocation to the municipal council is exclusively meant for the council members. Seima says, don't start pontificating. You will never get away with crimes committed under your watch. If things get out of hand, and you also know how much you have stolen, so you better be wise. Let's do a supplementary estimate. Mosi says, hands raised, wagging his finger, pointing at Seima in anger. I will have you arrested and prosecuted. I can make you see the real smoke, and I can strike harder than thunder. All right, that is Act 1, Scene 2. Now the first question is, what pushes Seima to want to have reallocation of the budget? 4 marks. So of course you have to know the text very well. You know that in Act 2 they are meeting for something and they have been discussing, exposed to those news and all that. So the answer should be this. All the municipal leaders have been accused of so many cases and they all need money to fight against them. After discussion, they realize that they have pending cases ahead of them. Seima understands that Mosi has always been acquiring money to save them. He now wants Mosi to acquire money easily using the public funds. Because all of them have declared themselves bankrupt. Those are 4 points, right? Okay, I hope you got them clearly. If you didn't, you can ask. I know people will be coming to watch later. Sometimes you do this and people come slowly by slowly and watch this. Whenever you're watching, always remember to subscribe first before you proceed, right? Thank you. And you always should remember also to like the video, even if it's later, no problem. The second question, describe any thematic concerns eminent in this excerpt. 4 marks. So I found about 3. We have corruption. They want to reallocate funds from the public kitty for their cases. The second theme is abuse of office. They use the office to acquire money for sorting their cases. Then another one is environmental degradation. Their waste disposal system in the town is in a terrible state. So you can have that. You can also add selfishness, because you realize all these leaders are being selfish in the decision to misallocate the public funds for sorting their cases. We can also talk about when people cover up for their mistakes. What do we call it? Integrity is when you are right. Then the word will come. The word will come. Or if you remember, just mention to me. All right. The third question is identify and explain any 2 stylistic devices used in this excerpt. The first one is idiom, over my dead body. The second one is onomatopoeia, wagging. The third one is hyperbole, I can strike harder than thunder. The fourth is rhetoric question, what do you mean? You would rather we are prosecuted and imprisoned, and it should end in a question mark, guys. The next question is, how has the author portrayed Mosi and Seima in the excerpt? So you start with Mosi. Mosi, of course, has been portrayed as corrupt. He had misallocated funds before. He is also violent. He threats to counter his fellow leaders. He is also emotional. Of course, we can see he reacts violently towards them. We also see that he's firm. He insists that they cannot reallocate funds anymore. Seima is persuasive. He persuades Mosi by all means to find money. He is selfish. He wants to have the public funds solving his personal problem. He's corrupt. He's willing to use public funds for personal, reasons. The fourth question, you will be in a position to deal with the trouble. You will have money. Write the sentence starting with given. So the question is, given that you will have money, comma, you will be in a position to deal with the trouble. Question 5. Explain the meaning of the following words as used in the excerpt. Number 1, justify. Number 2, supplementary. Number 3, concede. Number 4, pontificating. So justify is validate, defend, or explain to convince. Supplementary is additional or extra. Concede is allow, or grant or admit. Pontificating is preaching. Now let's go back and I show you the answers. In case of any problems, you can correct me. I'm also human. At some point, I may think I've done it perfectly only to realize that there is some mistake here or there. So check this. Okay. Are you seeing that? Anyonya vidole. Mwambie asinyonye, hata tumbo itauma. Now guys, today we have been able to explore 3 excerpts within 1 hour. Of course, we are left with 3 minutes. You can ask a question. Unfortunately, many people are not watching currently. I don't know, students sleep too much maybe during the holiday or they have other tasks. I cannot tell. But as you come later to watch this, you may have questions to raise. You may have a point to actually offer. You are free to do so. You are free to do so. And literature is very interesting. Very interesting. So you've seen today you have explored Act 4, Scene 3. We have also had Act 1, Scene 2. We have also had a question from Act 3, Scene 3. So that is it. You need just to continue familiarizing with as many questions as possible from the Samaritan. And when the exam comes, you'll be smiling all your way to the best grade in English and literature. Thank you so much. I really appreciate Nairobi teacher. He was here for very long. I saw another Arabic friend. They never communicated in a language I would understand, but I really appreciate they were here for long. I appreciate for those who offered the likes, and I still encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Enhance me, help me to achieve my watch. Alright, so around, let's say around maybe 11 something, we'll be traveling. And as I've said, I'll do a live stream. Because when you're traveling, you need to reserve some power to communicate. So I'll start my live stream from one point, maybe stop at another, load it, and proceed. Because sometimes when you stop again, you have to alight to get to other vehicles and do the necessary. But then it is what it is, guys. I'm really appreciating your presence always on my live stream. And for those who come even when they don't have an interest in the topic, it's always good because you learn one thing or two. Thank you so much. Maybe at one point I'll also get time to do the JSS books because I traveled with them, but I never got time to do anything in that. But I know I'll be doing it once I get more time. It is what it is. So thank you guys. Have a good day.